It was ridiculous. Hi, and welcome to Carolina Varsity's Players of the Game for Week 4. I'm Dale Ross.
And I'm the pep man, Matt Moryah.
Matt, I'll start out since I went to a game and I guess you didn't.
I had a bye week.
He had a bye week. Player his game was bye. Okay, I attended the Vance South Pointe game, and one of the South Pointe coaches made a point to me when I got to say this because it's kind of funny because we Olympic had just gone into lightning delay. I'd seen it come across Twitter, and I looking back towards that direction, and those rain clouds were coming. Mm-hmm. I said, "Yeah, it's lightning delay." He said, "Where?" And I said, "It's near you. It's in Southwest Charlotte." He said, "You know, we're not in Belmont." I'm like, "I know you're not the South Point from Belmont." Anyway, okay. So my players, first was Greg Ruff for South Point. When you look at his stats may not sound overwhelming. He had 4 TDs in the ball game, 15 to 19, only for 84 yards, and he ran for 55 yards. But he really, I thought, played a solid ball game and managed that team very well, managed that offense very well. Mm-hmm. And some of the other big yards were like the first play of the ball game, first play of the ball game for South Point was a halfback pass to my other player of the game, okay. Derion Kendrick. So they were on about the 10-yard line, and they throw a halfback pass, and halfback throws the ball to a wide open. You're either super fast or the Vance guys were asleep. They were on their heels. Actually, they were probably up into the line trying to come up to get the halfback because there was nobody in my peripheral vision from Vance. Had to be the closest guy was 30 yards away. But he played a great ball game on the defensive side of the ball as well. Mm-hmm. Lots of big hits, and he's a sophomore. And some people on the forum actually mentioned how hard a hitter he was. And I thought I had some of the videos from some of his hits, but they are on that under the radar videos, some of those big hits that kid made. Mm-hmm. Both of those kids played great ball games. From Vance, I'm just going to say that Kinglesy Ifedi, the quarterback, he played rather well, I thought, and so did Myles Dorn. He had some great catches. I got some video up on the game. But overall, the team made too many mistakes, and coach didn't feel like any player was player of the game considering the number of mistakes they made.
Right.
Okay.
Good job, guys. I've got a few here for Mallard Creek in their 70-0 win over Garinger. James Smith played one half. 14 of 18, 317 yards and 4 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. That's a good sign for him getting back on track. It's a good job. Cedric Stone for Independence had a 90-yard interception return for a TD, pick 6.
Yep. And
a 16-yard TD catch and a 20-6 win over West Meck. Definitely earned that player of the game. He did a lot there.
Yes, sir.
Gage Moloney going down into South Carolina for the first time. Rock Hill Northwestern. Prolific offense. 21 of 22.
That's pretty
449 yards.
Wow.
And 6 touchdowns and a 52-7 win over Greenwood. So that Northwestern Trojan offense clicking on all cylinders again. Back up into North Carolina, Adam Smith for Hough broke up a pass on the final play of the game to clinch the big 41-37 win over Ardrey Kell. So Hough going to 4-0. Great game that I missed.
So I've got one from Hough just to throw in there. Jarrett Nagy was mentioned. He played he's a running back, played linebacker in the first half, and then in the second half he rushed 17 times, 134 yards, 4 TDs, carried the rock hard and well.
That's a kid that's been here a couple of times.
He has.
Got another star developing up there at Hough.
Exactly.
Here's our guy.
The Mount Pleasant kid, or
there he is. Yep.
Okay.
Cody Reece. What did he do this week?
Oh man, I started looking online and I got tied up with something on work, and I did not find an article on the game. Mm-hmm. He carried the ball more than 40 times.
46 carries.
Okay, wow.
225 yards and 4 touchdowns. Heck of a game. They played South Iredell. They lost in 3 overtimes.
Yep.
And I know you got someone from South Iredell for that game as well.
Exactly. So in that game, Alex Gourley, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. He's an offensive lineman, not a giant offensive lineman, but if you've seen his highlights, he's a kind of kid that I like. He's a good technique kid, and the smaller guys. He's not real small. Don't get me wrong there, but smaller guys can take advantage of technique. And when you look at him, you see he's got some skills. And in that ball game, in the fourth quarter, he played defense for the first time in high school. They put him on at defensive tackle, and then he played. He just continued on and played defensive end in that ball game in the overtimes.
Wow.
First times. I don't have stats, but I understand he played well. So just throwing a mention out there for him.
Anytime a lineman goes both ways in a 3 overtime game, you deserve it.
Exactly.
All you linemen deserve that. Because I played line and you're hitting every play. Hey, that heck of a job.
Exactly. And what's it like? I told someone, I tried to explain one time to someone what it's like to be an offensive lineman or to play American football, and that is to stand back away from a wall and throw yourself as hard as you can into the wall, and then wait about maybe 20 to 30 seconds and do it again. Wait about 20, 30 seconds and do it again, and just do it again. That's what it's like to be an offensive lineman in football.
Great job, guys.
Good job.
All right, I'm going to rattle through a few here. Antonio Williams. Obviously, he's a star player. We've heard his name before in the past seasons.
Right.
North Stanley running back, 29 carries, 393 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Heck of a game for Mr. Williams there. Talked about defenses last week.
Yep.
Lake Norman defense held Salisbury to 37 total yards and a half, recorded 7 sacks, and forced 2 more takeaways, 9 turnovers forced, and a safety.
Wow.
That's a heck of a performance for that Lake Norman defense.
So let me, just while you're talking defense, so I've got a player.
All
right. South Mecklenburg won a very, very big ball game over Myers Park. And in that ball game, Moryah Johnson, as everybody's probably seen, he helped seal that game with the INT there at the end. So he gets that INT, they win. They make that catch. They're going, more overtime maybe.
Yeah, because that receiver was open behind him. That was a heck of a catch. If you have not seen that, you need to go see that.
Exactly.
It's a great job to South Beck and Mr. Johnson.
So he had, as a DB, he had a couple of, he had 4 tackles. He had the INT, he had a PBU, and he had a forced fumble.
Awesome.
So get that mentioned in on defenses. We'll go back to.
Great job. All right, a couple more guys here. Darion Slade for West Forsyth, 13 carries, 190 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also had 75 yards passing and a touchdown in their win over Statesville. Bunker Hill.
Yeah.
Don't hear much about Bunker Hill. I remember a couple years ago they were running the old Notre Dame box offense. If you ain't seen that, that's something to see. They got 2 guys here. I hope I say this right. Dijoun Huitt. 19 carries, 220 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And the quarterback, Briley, 23 carries, 154 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Wow.
Heck of a rushing offense there. 42-13 win over West Iredell. Jaret Anderson, Charlotte Catholic again, 19 carries, 94 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then win over Rocky River. Thaddeus Moss, son of Randy Moss.
Right.
His first appearance on here, 126 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns in the win over Garinger. North Gaston High School, Prince Fox, the big fullback, 114 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns in the win over Cherryville. And this one is interesting. Alex Adams, the quarterback for East Gaston. East Gaston was known as a heavy run team, type of Georgia Tech, flex bone offense. They opened it up this game. 398 yards passing, which is a school record.
Wow. And
3 touchdowns, but they lost. 43-33 to Lincoln, but that's a heck of a performance right there for Mr. Adams.
Wow.
I know you got a couple more there.
Speaking of big offensive performances, now this was in a losing cause, but this kid's been on here. He may be on here every week because he is, I think, without question, the best quarterback in Mecklenburg County, and he's one of the best quarterbacks in the state, probably. And that's Bryce Maginley.
Oh, yeah.
So he was 15 rushes for 208 yards. So for a quarterback, that's phenomenal.
Wow.
1 TD. He threw 21 to 34. That's really nice.
100%.
340 yards.
Big yards.
4 TDs. So he accounted for 5 TDs, and he accounted for over 500 yards.
That's awesome.
548 yards.
I'm gonna tell you something. If he hadn't committed somewhere, y'all are missing a heck of a dual threat kid, man. This guy can do it all. Great job.
So another player that was brought up was a team that we're starting to hear a little bit more about, and that's Phillip O. So we got Michael Roberts. He had 3 TDs, 7 catches, 160 yards, and he also played on defense. He had 1 interception. That was in a tough loss to Cuthbertson. They played that game very close. We thought it would be close. Phillip O team to look out for.
Yeah, that's impressive because Cuthbertson's a good team in 3A. So,
exactly.
Hey, watch out for Barry. All right, we got a few more here. Cox Mill running back Tyler Arnold, 162 yards rushing and a touchdown on 23 carries. In their first win on the season. Congratulations. Damian Bertino, Northwest Bears quarterback, had 5 total touchdowns, 3 passing and 2 rushing to get a win over South Rowan. Snaps an 11-game losing streak for the Trojans. Jayln Cagle, second time on here.
Second time.
A.O. Brown, 98-yard kickoff return, 21-yard rushing touchdown, and a fumble recovery in a big win over Mooresville in that rivalry.
Right.
Nico Cleaves, also at Cox Mill, threw 425 yards, 2 TDs, and rushed for another score, 3 touchdowns. Also, shout out to the Cox Mill defense. They forced 9 turnovers. That's a lot.
That is. That's a whole lot.
Against East Rowan in their 34-21 win. P.J. Hall, Concord running back, career best 161 yards and a pair of touchdowns in a big win over Hickory Ridge in that area. Couple more here.
There are probably pictures up on the side of that as well. I need to check, but we had a photographer there.
Harper Woods, CFA Academy, threw 3 touchdown passes in their win over North Raleigh Christian. He also had a rushing touchdown as well. Last one to mention, big numbers here out of South Carolina, down in Fort Mill. Cole Martin, Nation Ford quarterback, 29 of 41 for 429 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Wow.
Heck of a game.
Wow.
And a 55-0 win over Greenville.
Okay, so you're not going to see this until the end, but I think we're going to mark each player's time in the video instead of separating them up into separate videos. We'll see. But a lot of players. We did hear from a few people after I sent out a tweet, and I'm going to do that again. Please let us know if we didn't mention a player, and we're not overlooking them. It's just we need to know about them. We prefer to stop going to hunt them and just have so many that come into us that we don't have time to go hunt, and maybe we just verify. So please send them to us. He does a good job of digging up some of these players.
A lot of digging.
A lot of digging. Thank you.
Should have said I'm taking extensive notes.